Tyson Fury is not just training in Thailand, he is hiding from noise, protecting his mind, resetting his body, and maybe already preparing for Anthony Joshua. But before Joshua, there is Marius Vak, a giant, a veteran, a risk, a fight that Fury cannot afford to get wrong. So I think the Thailand context tells us something. And I think Fury may understand that this comeback is not just physical, it's emotional. That means he needs to be calm, have structure and control. But Marius Vak is not invincible. Apologies if the pronunciation isn't correct there. He is big, awkward and durable. If Fury is already thinking about Joshua, this tune-up could become more dangerous than expected. Okay, so I'm going to be reacting to some statements made from boxing analyst Gareth Davis. So hopefully this can give some perspective and some understanding. So the first statement is that Tyson Fury's Thailand camp suggests he is prioritizing psychological calm and emotional control as much as physical preparation before facing Joshua. That's an interesting statement because I think that generally speaking, most people wouldn't associate Thailand with being calm and having emotional control. But of course, that is a stereotype. Within the Tyson Fury context, going to Thailand probably takes him away from a variety of distractions. And that's probably very important to him. So even though from a stereotypical perspective, we may not think of calmness and emotional control, within the Tyson Fury context, him being away from those distractions, which is him being in Thailand, that could be an optimal thing. I think there's some questions to consider though. Is Sugar Hill still the trainer? And importantly, when will he arrive in camp? I think it's important that Sugar Hill, assuming he is still the trainer, arrives at the beginning of camp. Also, is the boxing environment optimal for Tyson Fury? It's really important that he has an optimal camp. Good sparring, great sparring partners, great training, etc. And I wonder, and this is my curiosity, how hard is Tyson Fury really being pushed? Does he really still have the hunger? Does he have the hunger that he used to have? Can he replicate that desire and hunger? And this relates, and this is why the trainer is so important. The environment is so important. It's so important that the environment is optimal because basically you want to bring the best version of Tyson Fury. So then the next statement is that Marius Vak may look like a tune-up, but his size, durability and risk of accidental head clashes make him a dangerous pre-Joshua gamble for Fury. Is this a dangerous opponent? That depends on the context. When you look at the size, when you do the visual look, then you say, yes, this looks dangerous. However, statistically, he has lost 3 of his last 4 fights. So that would raise some alarm bells. And he was absolutely destroyed by Moses Atama. But the counter argument is that Moses Atama is destroying everyone. The point is, though, is that Vak may come into this highly motivated. And if he does come into this highly motivated, does that mean he can put on a type of performance that will be optimal for him? Remember, if he causes an upset here, this opens many doors for him. So in a sense, it's a risk. But how big of a risk? I'm not sure. So the next statement is that Usyks' rejection of the WBC title signals a calculated bid for freedom or a quiet admission that his heavyweight chapter is ended or is ending. The first part, a calculated bid for freedom, that makes a lot of sense because when you're dealing with multifarious different belts, you have mandatories, you have obligations. So when you're a part, when you are the credibility, you are the authority, and you can make decisive decisions, you can understand how important that freedom is. You want to make the decision of who you fight next. And the whole point about his heavyweight chapter ending, I guess, considering how long his career has been and how long he's been operating at an elite level, I would think that most of us would want to know that his heavyweight chapter is coming to an end, because what we wouldn't want is for such an elite and such a great champion to fight for too long. So the indication that this may be the last chapter, and when I say the last chapter, that doesn't necessarily mean the last fight. It may be 2 fights, 3 fights, etc. But the fact that this may be the last chapter, I actually think is a good thing. And the freedom will enable him to make the decision and fight the people that he wants to fight. And, you know, Usyk he's been such an elite, undisputed champion, and he will be missed when he leaves. So the next statement is about IBF Sanchez versus Atama. I believe that's being ordered, and that marks a start of a new heavyweight era. Now there's an important part of this statement, which is the next part, which says Atama must prove himself against Hrgović before being seen as a credible world champion. The Hrgović fight is a big test. It's potentially a huge test. There are lots of variables around that fight, not just around Moses Atama, but also around Filip Hrgović. However, Sanchez is a very dangerous opponent. I feel that when he lost to Caballero, people just wrote him off. But Sanchez is dangerous. He's a very, very dangerous fighter, a very good counterpuncher, and he controls the distance very well. When he is optimal, he will give anyone a difficult night's work. I don't want to take anything away from Caballero because he's a great fighter and now he's a champion, but I feel that there was some context around that fight. The rumor was that Sanchez had, I think it was a knee injury, and then the question becomes, how much did that knee injury impact his performance? Now, even without the knee injury, Caballero may still have won, but I'm not sure that we had an optimal Frank Sanchez in the ring against Caballero. And like I said, that would be a great fight. And then the next statement is that Fury versus Joshua matters more. So it's not that it matters more without belts, because it strips the rivalry down to legacy, pride, and the truth, who was greater. Now this might be a controversial take, but you could argue that if you agree with the premise that the fight happened too late, that if AJ beats Fury or Fury beats AJ, that doesn't necessarily mean that one was greater than the other, because they didn't fight in their prime. However, what I would state is that many people may consider Tyson Fury's legacy to be greater. Many people would make that consideration with regards to the boxing CV. Some would argue that and state that Anthony Joshua has a better CV, a better resume. And let's make it clear, they're both great fighters. They're both highly successful. They have done British boxing proud. But I think the bigger risk in this fight is for Tyson Fury. It's a huge risk. And I think people suspect that Tyson Fury may be further away from his prime than Anthony Joshua. Again, that premise may not be correct, but it's a huge risk for Tyson Fury, I feel, with this fight. So here is my final statement with regards to this. Think of this. Tyson Fury does not just need a win. He needs momentum. He needs rounds. He needs to regain that elite timing. He needs to rebuild the relationship with his team and reconnect with the discipline that made him special. Joshua, of course, is the bigger picture, but Fury cannot skip the process. Thailand might be where he finds peace. Camp is where he finds rhythm. The ring is where he proves he can still become the best version of himself. So that's the end of the video. Now I'm trying to build a digital boxing community. That means I'm interested in your comments, I'm interested in your questions, and I'm interested in your observations. Now, if you want to support the channel, simply like and subscribe and click the hype button. And if you want to watch more content like this, then simply click here or click here. As always, thanks for your time. It is much appreciated.